What's shaking, PumpTalk Nation? Get ready, because the news cycle is spinning faster than ever, and we've got the inside scoop that you absolutely cannot miss. From the world of arts and culture to the corridors of power and the streets that need a voice, we're diving deep into stories that are shaping our world right now. Buckle up, because this is your essential update, packed with the energy and insights you expect from PumpTalk News. We're kicking things off with a look at a renowned artist facing scrutiny and the passionate debate surrounding her future. Then, we're heading straight to Capitol Hill, where an entire industry is rallying to make their voices heard on critical issues. Next up, a local community is navigating a significant change in leadership and a crucial decision about its future infrastructure. And finally, we're venturing into a story of urban blight and unexpected resilience, highlighting a situation that's as heartbreaking as it is compelling. You won't want to miss a single second of this. Stick around for all the details, and make sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell on so you never miss a beat. A voice in defense of Anna Netrebko. A resounding defense of a controversial figure. In a world where public opinion can shift in an instant, the spotlight often falls on prominent individuals caught in the crossfire of global events. This narrative delves into a compelling defense of celebrated opera singer Anna Netrebko, examining the arguments for and against her continued engagement in the Western art scene. The piece centers on a critique penned by Stephen Pollard in The Spectator, who contends that Covent Garden was justified in its decision to hire Netrebko, challenging the widespread calls for her boycott. Pollard, an opera reviewer, initially grappled with his own principles, believing that support for Ukraine's fight for survival was paramount and that artists aligning with or tacitly supporting Russia's invasion should be ostracized. He recounts his internal debate, weighing his personal conviction against the desire to write a critical piece, only to find himself revising his stance entirely. Pollard draws a distinction between artists who actively endorse President Putin and the invasion of Ukraine, citing conductor Valery Gergiev as a prime example of someone who has faced professional repercussions due to his unwavering support for the Russian government. Gergiev, once a globally sought-after conductor, has had his work largely confined to Russia and its allies since the February 2022 invasion. However, Pollard argues that Netrebko is being unfairly grouped with such figures. He posits that Netrebko, as an opera singer, should not be held to the same standard as a politician or a public opinion leader. She has, by her own statements, maintained a position of not denouncing individuals she is not responsible for or supportive of. Pollard questions the reasonableness of expecting her to make public declarations when her role is primarily artistic, not political. The core of his argument reframes the debate, suggesting that while artists supporting aggression should indeed face consequences, Netrebko's situation warrants a more nuanced examination, separating her artistic contributions from the political actions of others. This perspective invites a reconsideration of how the arts community navigates the complex intersection of politics, artistic expression, and personal accountability, sparking a significant conversation about where to draw the lines in the ongoing global discourse. Audience impact. This defense has ignited a passionate debate across cultural and political spheres, with many questioning the extent to which artists should be held accountable for political stances, especially when their primary engagement is through their art. Social media has been abuzz with discussions, with opinions sharply divided. But is art the only arena where principles are being tested? We're about to find out. Stay tuned as we shift focus to the powerful voices advocating for change in the halls of power. Heed the call, make the voice of Truckload heard on Capitol Hill. Industry leaders mobilize for critical policy discussions. Each autumn, the Truckload Carriers Association, TCA, orchestrates a pivotal event, bringing its members to the heart of American governance for their fall business meetings and the crucial Call on Washington initiative. This year, with sponsorship from 10th Street and DriverFacts, the association is poised to amplify the collective voice of the truckload industry, offering stakeholders a unique opportunity to directly influence legislative priorities and engage with national lawmakers. The two-day event serves as a vital platform for mapping out TCA's agenda, participating in in-depth committee meetings, gaining insights from influential speakers, and, most importantly, holding face-to-face discussions with elected officials and regulatory bodies. The core of this initiative lies in empowering every segment of the truckload sector, from small, independent carriers to large-scale fleet operators, to advocate for the issues that directly impact their daily operations and long-term viability. Attendees will tackle a broad spectrum of critical topics, including the classification of independent contractors, the persistent challenge of truck parking, the intricacies of highway funding, the potential repeal of the federal excise tax, and regulations concerning vehicle size and weight. This concentrated effort underscores the TCA's commitment to ensuring that the concerns and needs of the trucking industry are not only heard, but actively addressed at the highest levels of government. David Heller, TCA's Senior Vice President of Safety and Government Affairs, highlighted the tangible impact of such advocacy, referencing recent legislative victories concerning electric vehicle mandates. He emphasized that the industry's collective concerns, particularly regarding these mandates, were effectively communicated during last year's call on Washington, playing a significant role in achieving a major industry win. Participation in the business meetings and committee sessions is open to all, fostering a collaborative environment for policy development, while the call on Washington segment is exclusively for TCA members, ensuring a focused and unified message delivery. This year's event is scheduled for September 29-30 at the Hyatt Regency Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., with registration details available at tcaflcall.com. The TCA's proactive engagement on Capitol Hill demonstrates a clear understanding of the legislative landscape and a strategic approach to advocating for the industry's interests, ensuring that the truckload sector continues to be a driving force in the nation's economy. Audience impact. The trucking community is actively encouraged to participate, recognizing that collective action is key to influencing policy. Industry publications are featuring the event prominently, urging members to register and make their voices heard. From the highways to local communities, decisions are being made that shape our daily lives. Get ready as we head to a township meeting where a key resignation and a vital grant application are on the agenda. Clay Township Board accepts trustees' resignation, approves support for ferry grant. Local leadership transition and infrastructure funding decision. The Clay Township Board of Trustees convened for a significant meeting, marked by the formal acceptance of Trustee Maureen Burry's resignation and the approval of a letter of support for Champions Auto Ferry's grant application. Burry's letter, dated August 19th, cited her immediate resignation and expressed a hope for community unity. Following standard procedure, Clerk Tanya Hogan moved to approve the consent agenda, which included Burry's resignation. The board discussed the process for filling the vacant trustee position, considering whether to re-interview previous candidates or open the application process anew. Trustee Beverly Rose suggested contacting prior candidates to gauge their continued interest and also opening the floor for new applicants, a sentiment that led Supervisor Paul Cassidy to confirm that application details would be posted on the township's website. The motion to approve the consent agenda passed unanimously. The board then turned its attention to Champions Auto Ferry. Jacob Bryson, the company's president, presented a case for a letter of support from the township, a necessary step for Champions Auto Ferry to apply for funding through the U.S. Maritime Administration's MARAD Marine Highway Program. The grant aims to secure financing for a new ferry vessel equipped with advanced, emission-reducing Tier 3 engines. To qualify, MARAD requires sponsorship from a Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO, and Champions Auto Ferry had approached SEMCOG for this role. SEMCOG's willingness to sponsor was contingent on formal backing from local elected officials. Bryson emphasized the project's potential community benefits, including reduced wait times, less traffic congestion on M29, and a more environmentally friendly operation. He clarified that this letter of support was the initial step toward grant eligibility, with a proposed 50-50 cost-sharing model if the grant is successful. Further discussion involved potential eligibility for Public Act 51 funds, which could cover half of the ferry's operating costs. Bryson explained that direct agreements with the Transit Authority were complicated by their requirement for a partnership with the Harsons Island Transportation Authority, HITA, an entity facing scrutiny over its financial management. Bryson expressed his reluctance to partner with HITA due to these concerns. Supervisor Cassidy inquired about Bryson's willingness to submit to audits and provide budget transparency, similar to requests made of HITA, to which Bryson agreed. The conversation also touched upon the broader implications of the grant, with Cassidy questioning the use of taxpayer-funded federal grants for private businesses. Bryson countered that many shipyards receive similar support and that Champion's Auto Ferry is a registered U.S. shipyard. Ultimately, Trustee John DeBoyer sought clarification, confirming Bryson's request was solely for the township to act as a local support mechanism for SEMCOG's sponsorship, with no direct financial commitment from the township or state. Despite some reservations, particularly from Supervisor Cassidy and Treasurer Jerry Galka, the board approved the motion for the Champion Auto Ferry SEMCOG sponsorship and MARAD grant application by a 4-2 vote. The meeting also addressed the township attorney, with a motion to terminate future use of Addis Law Firm and designate Sabert and Dielowski as exclusive township attorneys, passing with a 4-2 vote. Public comment sections were marked by robust community engagement and adherence to procedural rules, with some discussions touching upon township treasurer's social media activity. Audience impact. Residents expressed strong opinions during public comment, with the board's decision on the ferry grant passing by a narrow margin, indicating a divided community perspective on utilizing public funds for private enterprise. From local boardrooms to the gritty reality of urban decay, the landscape of our communities is complex. Prepare yourself as we venture into a story of neglect, resilience, and the often unseen struggles happening just blocks away from public attention. Dogs and Ghosts at the Civic Center Inn, a stark portrait of urban neglect. Amidst a ceremony for Women's Equality Day, a starkly different reality unfolded blocks away, revealing the grim conditions at the Civic Center Inn and the fight for survival within its walls. While prominent figures gathered at City Hall, the author, anticipating a no-show from Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, sought out a story of a different nature, leading to the derelict Civic Center Inn. Ken Patel, the proprietor of the adjacent Best Western, had taken ownership of the long-defunct motel, which had become a haven for squatters and a site of illicit activities. Upon entering the building, the air was thick with the overwhelming stench of decay, rotting food, human and animal waste, mold, and vermin. The ground floor rooms were deserted but filled to the brim with trash, a testament to prolonged neglect. The true extent of the squalor became apparent upon ascending to the third floor, where rooms remained occupied, and the stairwells were treacherous with piles of dead rats and feces. On the third floor, a man from Honduras, identified as a lookout, was encountered. It was here that a small, injured pit bull puppy was discovered, struggling to walk on a crumpled front paw. The puppy's owner was elusive, with the Honduran man offering only vague responses. Recognizing the dog's distress, the author and J.J. Smith, an associate who arrived on a scooter, decided they could not leave the animal behind. Attempts to contact Animal Care and Control (ACC) proved futile. Adding to the unfolding crisis, Smith's scooter was stolen while they were inside the building. Smith, however, was able to track the vehicle, and the San Francisco Police Department intervened, deploying spike strips to apprehend the thieves. The author then rushed to the Tenderloin Police Station to seek assistance from law enforcement in retrieving the puppy. An officer contacted ACC, promising to expedite the matter. Upon returning to the Civic Center Inn, where the summer heat intensified the pervasive odor, ACC had arrived. An officer engaged with a young woman claiming ownership of the puppy, but she was unable to provide basic information about the dog's health or the cause of its injury, only stating she would seek veterinary care. Subsequently, a man also claimed ownership, but lacked any proof, such as photos. Through skillful persuasion, the ACC officer, Ryer, convinced both parties to relinquish the puppy for immediate care, with the possibility of reclaiming her if ownership could be proven. The Honduran man questioned the author's intervention, to which the author responded that the puppy, being just a pup, needed help. The puppy was eventually secured and transported in a waiting van. Patel affirmed that all squatters would be evicted, and as the author departed, a white husky-type dog was seen being shooed back inside a barricaded room, signaling the end of the occupation. The monumental task of cleaning and revitalizing the building looms, a daunting prospect given the deep-seated issues of drug use and criminal activity that have plagued the site. The author reflects on the stark contrast between the public celebrations of Women's Equality Day and the hidden struggles unfolding just blocks away, noting the poignant coincidence of the day also being National Dog Day. Audience impact. The story has generated significant public outcry regarding urban blight and animal welfare, with many praising the intervention to save the puppy and calling for swift action to address the conditions at the Civic Center Inn. From the depths of urban neglect to the advocacy for industry voices and artistic expression, we've covered a lot of ground. But before we sign off, let's quickly recap the headlines that define this broadcast. That's all the news that's fit to print, and then some. We've navigated the complex world of artistic integrity with the defense of Anna Netrebko, heard the urgent call for industry voices on Capitol Hill with the Truckload Carriers Association, witnessed local governance shifts in Clay Township, and exposed the harsh realities of urban decay at the Civic Center Inn. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this update valuable, subscribe to PumpTalk News for your daily dose of essential information, and ring that notification bell so you're always in the loop. Let us know your thoughts on these stories in the comments below, and follow us on all social media platforms to keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay pumped.